Ron James, welcome to Gray America. Congratulations on all the awards for your Accidental Truth movie.
Well, thank you. It's very gratifying to know that people appreciate the film and that other filmmakers have recognized it. We've won 13 so far.
13 awards. Wow, that's great. Yeah, like we were talking about. I mean,
so you get these little cool trophies. Like this one is the Award of Excellence for Documentary Feature from the Accolade Film Awards. So that's a cool one. I got my favorite ones right here.
Yeah, show us that
one. This is the coolest award I've gotten yet. It's an alien with a movie reel in his head.
Yeah.
You just gotta love that.
Yeah, that's cool, man, because it's been, you've been working on it for, I guess, a year and a half or a couple of years at least. And for the timing for it to come out with such a, I mean, it really is like, you could argue that disclosures kind of happened in the midst of all this. So really interesting timing.
Well, you know what's really cool is that the people in the film are the ones making all these disclosure headlines. When I made Accidental Truth, I wanted to make a film that left no more breathing room for these guys. There's just nowhere else they could go. There's no more ways to beat around the bush. We cover everything that's in the news today. And Ralph Blumenthal, who's in the movie, he's the one that broke the story about David Grush. Gary Nolan, who's in the movie, came out publicly saying that we absolutely have crash debris and that there are probably AI robots. And Chris Mellon wrote a new op-ed in Politico saying that he really thinks we need to come clean about crash debris. All these guys are in my movie saying this before it happened. And I've been told that the Accidental Truth kind of helped be like the straw that broke the camel's back. And these guys just don't have anywhere else to continue to lie.
Nice. Yeah, even like you caught Lou Elizondo. Well, it was early, right before he kind of had to sort of clamp down and watch what he had to say.
Yeah, I got Lou pretty good, and it's in the film. It's one of the reasons it's called Accidental Truth.
Maybe can you touch on that a little bit more in detail?
Sure. So when the story first broke, before all these guys from TTSA and everything got really famous and everybody started copywriting their pictures, I did get a really good studio quality interview with Lou Elizondo, and in it, I asked him specifically if there was kind of an interdimensional element to all of this. And his answer was, well, we looked at all that, and they could be coming from outer space, or they could be coming from inside the Earth. They could be coming from another dimension. We just don't know. And I said, right back to him is like, okay, so there is a they. And that just stymied him. And the look on his face is one of those MasterCard moments. It's just priceless.
Well, also, I mean, Bigelow went out and said on your movie, he went out and just straight out said like 100%. There's something else. There is a they. I can't remember if he used like ET or
no, he said aliens.
Or whatever, but
he actually said what we call the A word in the movie.
The aliens. Yeah. And then Lou Elizondo also said like, you got to take that guy seriously. Like he's the only private person that's put a satellite up or whatever. He said a little space station. So he's done the work, and you got to take him seriously.
I've had people write comments about how there's, this movie is a rehash of information. There's so much new information in it that wasn't out when I put the movie out. Of course, now it's today's headlines, but people who say that kind of thing, they're not paying attention to the film. It's meant to be a historical document that freezes a place in history and gives everybody from experienced ufologists all the way to people that are armchair aficionados the ability to understand the topic. And there's no sensationalism in it. There's no wild claims. There's nothing that doesn't have a pretty good evidence chain for it. And that's why I call it a historical document rather than just another one of those screamy UFO movies where everybody walks around calling conspiracy and doesn't really offer up anything that gives us any solid evidence.
And you called it Accidental Truth because, the truth is leaking its way out when these people are talking about stuff, when these official people are having to be careful what they say, like inevitably it comes out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the reason for the title is. Like, I think I defined it in the beginning is that an accidental truth is what happens when a combination of statements and evidence lead one to a conclusion that was not originally intended to be revealed. And that's a mouthful, but it says a lot too.
Yeah. So what made you like why did you decide to go and do this film? You already had like the disclosure archive. What was it called again? The
The
disclosure
disclosure
archives or something?
dialogues. Yeah, I
The
did that
disclosure
one.
dialogues and other stuff over the years. And we'll get into your sort of your work with MUFON too. But what made you come out with this one?
Well, it was when I made the disclosure dialogues in 2012. Well, it won the awards in 2012. I made it in like 2011. It was at that time the definitive film about the state of disclosure. And I wasn't going to make another UFO film until I really thought I could move the ball. And I really felt like Accidental Truth does. And it all stemmed from the interview with Lou, um, where he said that. But then uh, there was so much more that happened after that. That's where I got the idea of Accidental Truth. That's where the whole thing came from. But then I realized that I had Christopher Mellon, basically doing the same thing. And that beautiful moment with Robert Bigelow that George Knapp captured. And then, other people giving us more accidental truths. Gary Nolan admitting the whole classified materials thing. So we just had the film just kept getting better and better and bigger and bigger because I didn't have Congressman Tim Burchett and Gary Nolan, Ralph Blumenthal, and Dr. Michio Kaku, and of course Matthew Modine, who narrates. I didn't have any of those guys when I started the film. I just kept, I kept making it a work in progress, and I just wanted it to get bigger and bigger and better.
So what does it feel like now that after the movie comes out, there's all this other stuff is flooding out? I mean, you've got like you mentioned, the Grush whistleblower kind of thing. I'd like to know what you think about that. And also, like Greer had his Disclosure 2.0 the other day. It's had like 1.5 million or 1.3 million views over 10 days. Like it just seems like a perfect storm here.
I think it's really interesting. I was a little nervous because my film got sandwiched in between a film that Greer's in and his film Lost Century. And I was like, man, I got like 6 weeks for this film to do okay. And then there were problems with the distribution and the marketing and everything else. It was just a total letdown. But all of us are doing pretty well. Accidental Truth has stayed in the top 10 for the whole 10 weeks it's been out. And Greer's movie coming out, where we all show up together on Amazon. So it's fantastic. But the film itself it makes the case for all the things that David Grush is saying. That's what the whole film's about. It's about government programs to reverse engineer stuff. It's about the fact that we've recovered craft and materials and the evidence chain that already existed before Ralph Blumenthal did this with David. So, it really did push the envelope, I think. And it feels absolutely amazing to watch, the guys that are in my movie, all of a sudden they're on TV with brand new stuff. And it's like, well, you saw it here first, folks.
So I don't want to jump too deep into this right away, but we might as well. Like, so what do we do? What advice do you have for a sort of skeptical conspiracy theorist? I don't know if you've seen that meme. It's like the government tells the people like UFOs aren't real, and all the conspiracy theorists are like UFOs are real, and then the government, like in 2023, the government's like aliens are here, and the conspiracy theorists are saying they're not here. Don't believe your government. So, and I know you're pretty skeptical of NASA and the government, and so are we. Like, I don't know what to believe now. I like to believe it's all of the above thing, the ETH, the interdimensional stuff. Like, it covers the gamut. But now that the government all of a sudden accepting this, now, the hackles on the back of my neck are kind of raised. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to believe now. I don't know, why now? Like, is it a distraction? Like, so what advice do you have for us that are sort of skeptical of any kind of government narrative?
Well, I say watch the movie because it really unfolds all of that. It really is my statement on the topic. We prove that in the 1950s, the same exact thing, almost the same verbiage, like they couldn't even hire a new screenwriter, was being said by Air Force officials at the time, that was being said by these groups that just came out. And, the fact that it's almost a verbatim points to something. And that something is that the narrative is being adopted for new alternative facts. And the problem with what we're getting, and we're going to get some form of disclosure more than we've ever had. Some could argue that we've already had it. But we're being given a new story. It's a new narrative. And the story is, we didn't do anything after Project Blue Book. We didn't think about it. And now all of a sudden there's interest again. And what that story serves is to cover up all these things that Grush is talking about and all these things we're talking about in Accidental Truth, and to cover up the biggest, deception ever put on humanity. And so they're doing this so that they don't have to be accountable for what they've done, and they can reinvent the story like it's brand new. And that is the flaw with what we're seeing. And I think they have to do it at some point, because Elon Musk is going to land on Mars, and nobody's going to be able to control what he reports. Webb is going to find something. And so I'm sorry, I know your question was to address skeptics. I did a show the other day, News First, or First News, with a host, and he was a skeptic. And I had to tell him, I'm like, dude, you're just on the wrong side of history. Watch my film, because it lays it out in a logical manner that's really hard to impugn. And then just start paying attention to what's going on. And if you're still not convinced, just sit back, because it's going to be delivered right to your telephone.
Yeah, and I don't mean skeptic as in like they don't believe in the phenomena. I mean, I'm talking about like sort of deeper conspiracy theorists that just would tend to think it's more of a psyop than a reality. Like how do we? Everybody's talking about blue beam now, and people are like, well, this is Black Project stuff. It's all like Skunk Works and Raytheon, and they're just using ET as a cover up. Like, what do you think?
Well, they got the technology from somewhere. I mean, it's no secret among people that research this that places like Raytheon and the others, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed, that they were in receipt of technology to back engineer, and the idea that they invented this technology and there is no extraterrestrial technology behind it, the evidence suggests otherwise. And the idea that they're going to try to do some kind of Project Blue Beam alien invasion, that's been floated around for a long time. Richard Dolan wrote a book about false flags, and I interviewed him, it's been about 6 years ago, and we talked about this. His feeling is that a Project Blue Beam would be really hard to pull off. Everybody knows you can fake just about everything. And, the whole idea that aliens are coming, let's all unite under one world order and blah, blah, blah. I think Dr. Greer's got it more right than the people that are thinking Project Blue Beam. And he says that, if there is going to be that kind of conspiracy that turns people against extraterrestrials, it's going to be bad for them, and it's going to be even worse for us. So, I don't think that this is part of a conspiracy to bring about Blue Beam, but it's definitely part of a conspiracy to get away with all the lies that they've been telling. They're going to come up with some of this new stuff like, oh, look, we just found this new propulsion thing.
Right, exactly.
And NASA,
the energy, like they'll come out with now a new energy that all of a sudden was discovered.
Yeah, once they've milked the earth for every last drop of oil and every last gasp of gas, and the oil companies can all figure out how to take this new free energy device and profit off of it, then all of a sudden they'll discover it. And look, we got NASA. Woohoo! NASA is going to study UAP. I mean, wow. I'm amazed. Thank you, NASA.
Well, I've heard you predict. Well, make that prediction that you think about what NASA is going to come up with next.
Oh, well, I think the next play in the whole overall playbook is some sort of acknowledgement of life off of Earth. It might be a microbe on Mars. It might be Webb telescope just found another planet and they appear to have city lights. It's going to be something like that. I'm seeing that comment out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, NASA is pure BS as far as that stuff goes. I mean, they found life on Mars in 1976 and covered it up. So
what was the life? Like real life or like microbial life?
Well, microbial life is your caveat, because you can acknowledge life without having to admit any kind of intelligence. And so all of these agencies are like all about microbial life, because, I don't know, maybe it doesn't come with the need to establish communication. So for some reason, microbial life has been this catchphrase that's been used for years and years and years. Oh, there might be microbial life on Europa. There might be microbial life on Mars. And I agree with you. What's up with this microbial stuff? It's not microbes that are flying around in our atmosphere, and it's not microbes that genetically engineered humanity, if that happened. So I don't know why they're so hung up on microbes.
But what did they find on Mars in 19? Did you say 1983?
Yeah, in 1976 they designed a test to test for life basically on Mars, and it had three different processes, and it was determined that if 2 out of 3 of these processes came back positive, then that would definitively prove that there was or had been life on Mars. So they launch Viking, it lands on Mars, it does the test. 2 out of 3 of them come back positive for life, finding organic elements and the trace things in the Martian soil. And what does NASA do? They change the guidelines for the test so that they could say the tests were inconclusive or did not prove life, even though they did based on the tests they designed. So the guy, his name's Gil something, I can't remember, but he's a scientist that actually designed the programs. To this day, he is challenging NASA that yes, they found signs of life on Mars in 1976, and they just decided that that wasn't convenient.
No, they put it in their back pocket for like 40, 50 years, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And it was a public thing. It's not like they hid it. They just said they literally changed the parameters. So instead of 2 out of 3 proving positive and thereby being a positive result, they disqualified one of the tests. So it was 1 out of 3, which didn't count.
What about that face on Mars? Do you think that's real?
It could be something. It's like that's in the gray box. John Brandenburg, who's a good friend of mine, believes that it's remnants of an ancient civilization, and it could be. His theory about how Mars was hit by some sort of nuclear attack, nobody's really been able to debunk that. The isotopes that are in the Martian atmosphere only come that we know of from a nuclear explosion. And I always get told I pronounce that word wrong. And they don't come from anywhere else. They can come from a supernova, but if they come from a supernova, they would be equally spread throughout our solar system. They wouldn't just be in the Martian atmosphere. And so, yeah, there's a pretty good case that whatever was on Mars got wiped out by nukes.
Yeah, yeah, and there's only big, some megalithic remnants in Sidonia there left over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I heard about Blue Beam recently, which kind of shocked me, was, and I wish I could remember who I heard it from, I thought it was one of our shows, but I went back with a friend trying to find out who it was. But their theory was that, and I don't know if I buy this or not, but I mean, everything that's been going on in the last couple of years, and they think that a city will get wiped out and then they'll just blame, it won't be like a bunch of ships showing up all over the place. And it's like, oh, ET's here, and it'll be a bunch of holograms. It'll be like, there'll be a destruction of a city and they'll blame it on ETs or some other sort of intelligence.
But why?
And that's how it'll go down, for the control.
What city? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The idea, like Ronald Reagan said, that we're all suddenly going to come together just because we find out there's aliens. I'm pretty sure it'd be more like, China wants to be the first one to sacrifice Americans to the aliens. It's not going to be like China, Russia, and America are suddenly kumbaya against ET. It's going to be like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if we could just get the aliens to wipe out the Americans, that's a pretty good page out of the playbook.
So how do you reconcile the ETs that have been contacting the government and allowing this to be sort of hidden for so long? I mean, I've gone out and C5. We do our C5s in Calgary. I've done them for a few years back, and we've had results. Like, we've made contact with something. I don't know what it is, but so I sort of, like I said, I believe in all of the above. But I mean, it's what frustrated me a few years ago is I read a couple books on the ETs sort of being, like, why do they need us, this grassroots movement to raise the consciousness so that they'll come forward? Like, why can't they just come out and fucking help us or stop the secrecy themselves if they were involved to begin with?
Well, I can't speak for MUFON when I say this, but my personal take on this stuff is that there probably is a galactic federation of some kind. It only makes sense. If you're a bunch of spacefaring races with crazy technology, how do you not destroy each other? You come together in even a loose, fragile affiliation. And if that's true, then, you know, we're an intelligent species kind of that shows promise, and there could very well be a hands off, let them evolve. And if they make it, then we reveal ourselves and we invite them into a galactic future. And if they don't make it, then they just get ground up into the planet and we start again with new seeds. So it's kind of up to us. But I think the reason they're not going to help us overtly is because, and again, it's just my thoughts, there's probably more than one faction, and Earth is probably a pretty valuable piece of real estate. And there's probably different species that would like to see a different outcome. And so it's kind of like, you know, cloak and dagger espionage on Earth. You got it's officially hands off, but then you got the one species doing a little bit here and there just to kind of provoke things. And then you got other species that are making contact and giving people experience or things where it's a spiritually transformative experience, and they're approaching it from a whole different way. So it's hands off, but everybody's fudging it a little bit, and it's still up to us. And right now we're not doing too good.
How do you see this playing out in the next year or two with disclosure?
Well, you know, I'm plugged in a little bit in Washington, D.C. I just found out today that I'm going to be involved in preparing a briefing for Congress about the materials stuff. So that's pretty fun. So I know that I had lunch with Andre Carson, the guy who put on the first UFO hearing, and I keep contact with Tim Burchett. He's in my movie, and now he's heading up the committee that's going to investigate the David Grush thing. One thing that people don't understand is that these people really care about this, and they know they're being lied to just like everybody else. So you're not going to find a lot of mid-level politicians, people in the House, people in the Senate, that are like helping to keep this thing a secret. Obviously, they can't share classified information that they've been given, but they are not the ones responsible for the deception. It's people that will not even answer to them that are doing this.
It's way above, and that must be sort of revealing to them too, to know that they don't even have fucking control over this. They're like, they've got these other people that are way above the governmental system that won't allow access.
Well, you know what? They didn't believe it before. They believe it now, and trust me, a lot of them are not happy about it. I have a video I'm going to release as a kind of like a bonus feature for Accidental Truth. I went to Tim Burchett's office and I set up 2 cameras in his office, and I sat there and I interviewed him for an hour plus. And one of the very first things I did was outline to him everything from Roswell forward and how the whole thing worked and how it was implemented. And so when I see that he's going to be going and leading this committee to investigate the David Grush stuff, I know for a fact that he knows about this stuff because I told him and I videotaped it, and I'm going to put it out. It's going to be the first ever video of a UFO investigator briefing a member of Congress, a sitting member in their office. And I'm just going to put it out and give it away for free. But it's pretty cool. So these politicians are not really the enemy we might have once thought they were when it comes to UFO disclosure.
When will that come out, do you think, that video?
I'm actually working on it right now. So I'm going to put out, I've created a website inside of MUFON TV called AT Insider. And the movie is going to kind of like, we're still shooting stuff and editing stuff so that we can continue to tell the story that's told in the movie. Yeah. And that'll all be free.
What about when you prepare for Congress, when you said you've been asked, are you putting your MUFON hat on for that then? Like, is that part of MUFON? Or?
Yeah, this is because MUFON, we've been lobbying in Washington, D.C. and they made me, I did a joint venture with them to create MUFON Television, which I run and own half of, but they also made me their official media relations director. So I'm the guy that gets to work on all the shows like Ancient Aliens and arrange interviews and go on TV for MUFON. So I'm plugged in at the top. I'm one of the 5 national directors. And we've been lobbying in Washington, D.C. We have this amazing company called A10 and Associates. It's owned by a lady named Jessica Taco, who is the owner of the biggest female-owned lobbying firm in the world. And this lady knows everybody. If you call her up and say, she got me my interview with Tim Burchett, she got us lunch with Andre Carson, and we're in Washington actively moving this thing ahead. MUFON was actually responsible for talking Andre Carson into having that hearing. It was us that said, hey, why don't we do this? And he did. And we also got to change some of the wording in the Defense Appropriations Act. We got to change a couple of sections to be more favorable for disclosure. So we've been busy in DC. And there's a lot of people out there saying they're busy in DC, but I haven't seen many of them.
Well, hopefully it makes a
What
difference,
that's
because
worth.
it gets frustrating watching this. I watched a little bit of one of the hearings, and they're asking the people about the UFO, and they're just not answering questions. They don't really seem to know much. And then, you know, we've known that MUFON's been investigating this stuff for decades. They've got thousands of cases, and they've looked at this stuff for decades, and the government's acting like it's a new thing.
Yeah, and believe me, behind closed doors, they know what's going on. We're giving both the intelligence committees briefings a quarterly basis now. We've been doing it for about 6 months. Reports of the UFO stuff that we get, so that they know, you know, they can put their fingers on the pulse of the civilian UFO activity that's being reported. So we have a seat at the table, and we're getting ready to have more of a seat at the table, because we've been pushing this all along. And we've earned a certain amount of credibility in DC among the body politic, and it's because of, like I said, because of our lobbying company, but it's also because Dave McDonald, the guy that runs MUFON, I mean, the guy's just really good, and I couldn't walk into these rooms and not be slamming my fist on the table. Damn it, we got to know the truth. But Dave has gone in with just a logical argument, and he's a genuinely nice guy, and he's made a lot of friends in DC. And so we're right in the middle of it, and it's very exciting.
Have they always had access to your files, your data, and all that? I know there's a lot of
No, I
conspiracy.
mean, you know, the all the spy agencies that follow us probably can hack our database, but
Yeah.
the Congress hasn't had that. And we're not just opening our stuff; we're actually providing custom made reports, because
Yeah.
opening up our database is not something there's too many private things in there that,
Yeah.
you know, people's names and stuff. So we don't share our database with anybody. We protect the privacy of all involved.
When did you first get involved in like the UFO field then?
You know, it's funny. I've always been into the topic as an armchair aficionado. I used to read UFO magazine and stuff like that. When I founded my production company, because I own a company that does video productions. I've done, you know, a lot of big music acts, Guns N' Roses, Smashing Pumpkins, Earth, Wind and Fire, stuff like that. My day job. But I got hired by Steve Bassett to go to Washington D.C. and film his X conference in 2007. So we shot that and we live streamed it. And that's when I was looking at this whole situation, listening to these people talk, and I'm like, man, this is the biggest deception ever perpetrated on humanity. And I'd always wanted to do something important with my video career, so I decided this is one of the things I was going to go after, and, you know, just trying to move the ball for the benefit of humanity. And so I've been doing it for a long time, but it's never been a money maker. It's like, you know, it's always do what you got to do to pay the bills, and then take the money you make and make another UFO show or something.
Yeah, exactly. Have you had any personal sightings or experiences yourself?
You know, I haven't. And the reason if you believe in fate and destiny, I really think that, you know, in order for me to do the job that I do, which is to take these concepts and try to deliver them to the mainstream without, you know, from a journalistic standpoint, I don't think I'd be able to be objective if I had memories of being taken on ships, or, you know, something happened to me like happened to my friend Travis Walton. I don't think I could. So I think that there's a reason that I haven't had those experiences, and it makes me an honest, objective reporter on the topic. My opinion isn't clouded by something I can't get out of my head.
Yeah, it's always cool to have people involved that didn't have experiences as well. You know, that just came in, they're interested in the mystery, they're interested in how important it is to humanity, but they're not coming with a bunch of sightings under their belt. Yeah, I like that.
And, you know, I've got absolutely nothing negative to say about experiencers. MUFON has a fantastic resource team for experiencers, and we're doing some of the best research in the world on the topic. And when I'm at like symposiums and stuff, and people come up to me in the MUFON booth and they're talking to me, I can tell when somebody's an experiencer, and you know, it's not an easy thing to live with. And for so many years, they've been just persecuted, even worse than people that are into UFOs. I mean, you know, it's one thing to see a flying saucer and believe there's ET. It's a whole other thing to have this kind of experience that you cannot forget. You know it happened, but you can't really talk about it to too many people. And so you just live with this from then on. And I can see it in their eyes, and I can see it on the tip of their tongues. They want to talk to you, or they want to talk to somebody. So I have absolutely nothing but respect and understanding for experiencers, that especially the ones that have really had some of these extreme things happen. And their day is coming. I believe it.
Would my 1994 MUFON UFO investigator trainee card still be valid?
I think technology's evolved a little bit.
I was going to bring that up actually next. Because Graham's been part of MUFON for, going on 30 years.
No, I was way back then, but then I was.
Oh, dude, you got to sign up again. I mean, it's only $119 a year, and you get the live stream of our event. You get all the membership stuff. They'll get you a new card, you know, so we'll get that taken care of for you. And you get our TV channel. You get to see all my great TV shows.
Do you? You get that with the? That's cool. You guys made it.
Yeah, it comes with
you
it,
sign up to MUFON. Do you still do you guys still do investigator training and stuff like
that?
Oh
yeah, we do. But you know, MUFON's kind of evolved because it's not. People think that join MUFON because I want to be a field investigator, and we still have that. We've got over 700 field investigators, and we do the training and we put people out, and we still investigate cases. But we have 7,000+ members worldwide that honestly just want to be in a cool club where they are talking to people with like minds, and they're attending events that are, you know, put on by people who speak the language. So MUFON has become more of a community for people that care about the UFO topic, and a hardcore, true investigative body as well. So we're positioning ourselves basically to be here for the entire planet when people start realizing, holy moly, look what we got. It's real.
Yeah.
Who do we talk to about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on. Yeah, we're here.
What's the biggest, I guess, surprise that in the sort of in the field or in your career that you've had in the UFO thing? What did where did you expect to be in 2023 versus where you are?
I thought that
but I guess you know what I mean, the whole MUFON.
Well, I mean, I was really surprised when they actually offered the position of media relations director to me. I was very proud of that, and it's a job I take pretty seriously. I have to basically go out and make appearances and do spokesperson appearances, and then I also work on the shows. That really surprised me. It's a lot of fun. It's a job I like. I don't get paid for it. I do it for free, but you know, I really love it, and I've helped to be able to really kind of help shape MUFON. I can't take a lot of credit because the credit goes to Dave McDonald for being open-minded. But we've changed this organization from what it was into something so much more robust and so much more cool. And to be a part of that, it has been really rewarding.
How long has he been there again?
He was a director once before, but he came on about 3 years ago when we fired the last director for weird stuff. And it's just been, I was in that regime too, and it wasn't pleasant. And it's night and day. And it's the people at the top of MUFON now are forward thinking, willing to take risks. And there's nobody that doesn't care deeply about this topic and getting it to people. It's what we're about at the very core. And we're doing the best work ever.
I remember getting a newsletters a couple years ago when Dave came on, and I remember thinking, oh, this does look interesting. He seems like he's making some good changes.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, like right now, we just built our own laboratory, a genuine scientific laboratory with a reasonable amount of equipment for studying any kind of physical evidence. We have the state-of-the-art photo analysis people and equipment and software, which is not cheap. We have our own TV channel. We have our own TV studio. We're making our own shows. We just launched an app, which is really cool. It's a UFO sighting tracking app. So people can download it and they can know of UFO sightings popping up in real time on the app. And then we have another app that is a social media networking app. that we've put out, in addition to all the other stuff that MUFON already had. So yeah, it's trying to keep up with the times. It's a 55-year-old organization, and it's taken us this long to get an app, but it's a really good app.
My friend wanted an app. He wanted to develop an app like that. He's like, we need an app so that when you see a sighting and you can put it out there and other people can triangulate the same sighting and from other parts. And I just want to use technology in that way. Even if you're close by, you'd be able to have 5 or 10 people seeing the same thing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, kind of like Tinder for aliens.
Yeah.
I did not just say that, but I guess I did.
You did, and it was live.
A new MUFON Tinder app. That's what disclosure is really going to be like. Hey, you can date them too.
Oh, so somebody in the chat's playing up what I said about the previous leadership of MUFON. I'd say he just was doing some things he shouldn't have been doing. We fired him. End of story. So
yeah.
For those who really want to find out more, figure it out. But I don't want to talk about it.
What's your take on MUFON in general in terms of non-ET craft, like the black budget type stuff? I mean, the man-made, I guess what Greer would call ARVs or whatever, alien reproduction vehicles, or I mean,
I'm glad you asked that, because some people think that MUFON, we're just clinging to this, it has to be ET thing. And the fact of the matter is that we're very open-minded about all of the possibilities. And so it's not a bunch of tinfoil hat flying saucer folks. We're looking at everything. The interdimensional possibility, the idea that maybe these things have been on Earth for a long time, extraterrestrial technology, some potentially human technology that's been reverse engineered. We're open to all of those possibilities, and more people inside of MUFON acknowledge that that's probably more likely than not, that there's just a lot of stuff, and all of the above, as you said earlier, is really going to end up being the answer.
And what's your take on that? You think there's a lot of that ARV stuff out there?
Well, I think that there's definitely some success from reverse engineering. And I've heard the ARV stories, the alien reproduction vehicles, and I've interviewed a couple people that talk about it. But where is it? So it's in the gray box. It's not something that, like in Accidental Truth, I just tried to cover things that had a paper trail without going into things that we just have no good case for. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a whole stable of not only craft that we've created through some form of reverse engineering. We've had some success, but then there's also the craft that we've recovered that we probably still can't figure out yet.
And you talk a lot about that in your movie too, right? The sheer amount of crash recoveries that aren't necessarily all ET, but some of them are these ARVs too, right? If a craft goes down, somebody's got to recover it regardless of where it came from.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that there's crash retrieval teams or not, of course there's crash retrieval teams. Even if you rule out, ETs, craft of unknown origin, we have very elaborate methods of retrieving crashed
top secret craft, yeah.
And these same groups obviously are going to go anywhere and recover anything.
Darren, you got a question?
What I mean, so me and Graham argue about this all the time, but and maybe you've answered this already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What does disclosure mean to you? Have we had it yet? Who's got the authority to give it? Has it started? Is it a slow thing? I guess start with what disclosure means to you, and then you can go on, or maybe you can start first with whether you think it's happened and then what it means to you.
Well, I mean, when there's a effective form of disclosure, Steve Bassett likes to say disclosure with a capital D, and that's when a president or some leader of state goes on television and says, people of the world, we are not alone. And so that's, the ultimate idea of what disclosure is. What we're having is kind of disclosure, but it's still intangible. So to me, a satisfactory disclosure is an official acknowledgement accompanied by some proof. I mean, if we're going to talk about these craft, well, let's let independent scientists get at some of these materials. We're going to talk about these things that happened. Well, let's release the record. Let's release the photographs. Let's release the materials, so that and then coming from some official trustable body saying, yes, we're not alone. There's intelligent beings visiting us, and it's documented enough so that the entire human population will understand that this is real, because we haven't gotten that. And until we know it, just like we know we have gravity, just like we know the sky is blue and grass is green, and we live and die, until it's that solid of a fact in human understanding, it's not disclosure.
So it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
But it's getting close.
Well, we're getting close to something. It's like we say in the movie, I don't think we're ever going to get the truth. I don't even know if there's that many people left that know the truth. It's been stovepiped and compartmentalized for so long. Where's the institutional memory of what happened at Roswell, per se? Where's the one guy that knows everything? He's long dead.
Yeah.
And who did he pass it on to? We don't know.
Yeah, and even the people that are seeing stuff in the compartments don't know the big picture either. So,
boy, we're seeing that with these all these new acronyms for these new investigative groups. Oh, we're going to do ATIP. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that, and it's just jumbling around letters like you're playing bingo or something. And it's a new group, and they're given just a certain file full of information, and then people don't understand why they can't tell us it's ET. They're not being told anything. They're given a bunch of boxes. Here, take a look at this. And they're able to say things like, well, that doesn't fall into the purview of the UAP task force. It's like, none of these guys are read in. All those poor people on that NASA panel, do you think any of them know what's going on? That guy that, I can't remember his name, he was a scientist who did the second UFO hearing. This guy's either the best and biggest liar in the history of humanity, or nobody's told this guy anything. It's like, and how can we get straight answers if the information going in isn't real, good, tangible, valuable, confidential information? How are we ever going to be able to trust these people to get information out? And they're doing the best they can. If you send me a photo of a flying saucer, and I'm supposed to be the guy investigating UFOs, and the Pentagon gives me this, and then somebody asks me about, what happened to Roswell or whatever. Well, I don't have any information on what happened at Roswell, so I can't tell you. But I'm the guy. It's hard to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Why are they holding onto it so tight? Is it energy now? Is it just that I've heard people describe it, and I kind of agree, but I wouldn't mind to know what you think. It's obviously it's hard to let a high tech, like you have a grasp on this new technology, whatever sort of pseudo governmental private organization you have that's like back engineering it and flying it around. Like, obviously you don't want to lose that control and that freedom it gives you. But
well, that's it. That there's probably two reasons. One is the people that have this stuff don't want to give it up and don't want to share it and don't want anybody to know. And there could even be national security involved in that. But I think it's more like, corporate mafia hood. But the other thing is that this is a crime against humanity. Having knowledge of things that could totally transform life on this planet and not revealing it, somebody has really put the shaft to 7 billion of us. And there could, then there's the other side that maybe the ETs didn't want it revealed, and ultimately they are the ones that could control this. If they wanted it revealed, they could reveal it anytime. There's nothing any secret group could do about it. So clearly they don't want people to know. And then, the other thing that is a part of it is maybe this is knowledge that is just not something that's going to make our day. People ask me all the time, they're like, well, don't you think people can handle disclosure?
that's what I was just.
And there used to be two arguments. They're ready for the truth or they're not. But when you really think about it, it's the context of the disclosure. If we say, people of Earth, there's extraterrestrials, probably dozens of species, and every once in a while they come here, and they don't bother us, and we don't bother them, and it just seems fine, then people are going to go, oh yeah, that's cool, I knew that, yeah, no big deal, gotta get my electric bill paid. But if they come on TV and they say, people of Earth, There's multiple extraterrestrial species visiting us, and some of them don't seem like they're too friendly. We're not even really sure what they want from us, but it's pretty clear that we're a genetic laboratory, and that they're using us for all kinds of things we don't even know about, and there's nothing we can do about it. And if you feel like you've been abducted, you probably have. Well, that changes everything. Then you've got a lot of freaked out people. So it's the context of disclosure, and there could be something within that stream of thought that is keeping the truth from coming out as well. I mean, what if we're being raised for food?
Yeah, yeah. Or there's a chance that they might not even really have a grip on reality. The scientists, the politicians, like, you know, they know they've got this high technology that they're using now, but they don't know the general state of reality. They don't know what, like, some of these things are interdimensional. They're coming in and out of portals. Some of them are coming here from, you know, other planets. I mean, they might just have, they might not even know how to explain anything.
Yeah, I tend to believe that the answer is somewhere in between. I think that, you know, at deeper levels, they know a lot more. This whole idea that Eisenhower did a treaty, that might have happened. I can't say for sure, but I think we're definitely aware of multiple species. We definitely have multiple crashed vehicles and materials and technology that we've recovered. It's definitely been covered up and hidden from Congress and even most of the military. I believe everything David Grush said, and it's in my film. Which a lot of people are saying might be one of the reasons that this is moving the way it is. Because I designed Accidental Truth to be a movie that leaves them no room. There was a little bit of air for a while in between pussyfooting around the word aliens and admitting that they're non-human and blah, blah, blah. And I created a film that was designed to suck the air out of that room. Now they're right up against the wall. There's nothing else that they can say. They can't beat around the bush anymore. Anybody that watches the film will understand that we've taken that away from them. And I think that's why it's there, because it's out there. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched the movie, which surprises the heck out of me. But it's out there and it's being very well received. So yeah, it is.
Congratulations.
Hey, you know what? While we're at it, when this film first came out, I want to ask your audience a little bit of a favor for those of you that have seen the movie. When the film first came out,
I wanted to ask you this question too, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask you about the trolls on the review.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
When the film first went up on IMDb, we were attacked by about 25 people who left the movie a 1-star rating before it was even out. And the effect that has, and I know who did it. I know who's partially responsible for it. And they're basically other filmmakers that play dirty pool. And so, you know, I'm not going to mention names, but let's just say that there is a group of people that will do anything they can to attack other films in the field and make theirs play better. But what happens is on IMDb, it's imdb.com, you can leave a star rating for a film without proving that you read it.
I just did. Before we came on here, I just did that for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I wonder if that's a sign in or anything. No, it just allowed me right there.
Yeah, and see, the problem with that is that when you get star bombed, now on Amazon.com, when you go to Amazon Prime, it has the IMDb rating. And if somebody has gone and star bombed you on IMDb, then on Amazon, it looks like, oh, 5.8 on IMDb, it must suck. And it persuades people from watching the film. And only insiders know that there's that flaw in the IMDb system and how bad it is for filmmakers, because anybody can go. You don't have to prove that you watched the movie. You can go on, you can leave a rating. You have to sign in from your Amazon account, I think, but the ratings show up anonymously. And you can really trash somebody's movie that way. And you have to be an insider to know that you can actually do that. And it's devastating to how it cascades out. You know, luckily on Amazon, we're into our hundreds of reviews now. And so the audience has taken over. But it still shows that 5.8 IMDb from those 20 or 30 1-star bombs that hit us. So if anybody out there has seen the movie, I'm not asking you to give it a rating that you don't think it deserves, but please go to IMDb and drop a star rating on it.
I'll ask them to do
Help
that
us
for
out.
you. Since if you
And
don't,
like I said, if you didn't like the movie, I'm not going to ask you not to to put a rating you don't believe. But most people do like the movie, and I think that we deserve to be portrayed that way. So we got to
a
overcome.
few people could go give it 5 stars even if they didn't watch it, just to offset them trolls. I mean, we get it.
Well,
We're
IMDb does
fighting
10
trolls
stars
here.
You do 5 stars on Amazon and 10 stars on IMDb.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
right.
too many people run and give it 10 stars, they'll think something's up. Anyway.
All right, well, like,
just take a minute if you've seen the film and go to imdb.com. It's easy to find the film there, and leave it a star rating that you think it deserves. That's
Yeah.
all I would ask.
do you get to track all the stats on that and see where it's getting the most plays? How real time is your data on that?
I have not seen a single thing. The 1091 is a company that's distributing this film.
Yeah.
And it has been a rough ride. I would
thought they were
not
pretty good
recommend these
before.
guys to anybody. It's been a disaster.
That sucks. I thought they were good before. I think we've had a couple other people on that had their movies through that group. Maybe
There was a time when they were the best.
Yeah.
But there's been all kinds of corporate juggling. They're not paying people. They're not paying royalties. They totally screwed up the marketing for my release and just lied over and over again. It takes a lot to be able to come out and say this. I better make sure I could back it up, but I can. And so in answer to your question, I have not seen a single piece of data from the release of this movie, except for some estimated numbers. And apparently it takes 2 or 3 months for it to show up in your portal. But I'm also talking to other filmmakers that are owed tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're slow getting paid. And, people are starting to have to send out hire lawyers and stuff.
Is that how you get
In fact,
paid?
I've got 3 lawyers right now helping me deal with these guys.
Is that how you get paid per play or something like that? Per thousand?
Well, yeah, because right now you can only buy the film. You can rent it or you can buy it. And then the distributor gets 60% of that revenue, and then they take their cut, and then the filmmaker gets the rest. And it's dirty pool right now.
That's sad, man. Sorry to hear that. I mean, especially with a niche sort of genre like yours, like there should be enough room for all of these films, everybody to come out with their films, because it'll raise the whole thing. If everybody would support each other and give better reviews, then people would watch all the fucking movies. They're not gonna stop somebody from going to one UFO movie and not another. It'd be better to sort of work together on all this. It's really
in principle, that's how it is, because 1091 likes to absorb all these films. But the thing is that what they tell you to get the distribution deal and what they actually deliver to you over the time is two completely different things. Well, I have Matthew Modine in my movie, and these guys released the film across all platforms with the wrong metadata, listing the wrong cast, and not even mentioning that there's an A-list actor narrating the film. And then they're like, oh, sorry, it's going to take a while to fix that. And on some places, they still haven't fixed it.
Wow.
So, that's just one example. And then the lies and the unpaid bills and the bailing on marketing stuff. Yeah, in my contract, it says I can't talk about anything having to do with them that I learned in our initial interaction. But this is all stuff I've learned since that. Right. This is my investigative knowledge. And so, I'm going to talk about it, because everybody else out there that's got a film, buyer beware, man. There's other distributors out there. I think these guys are going down at that point.
Yeah, like a lot of other corporations, man. The lack of expertise and talent is dwindling, and corporations are falling apart. I mean, I was also kind of mentioning the trolls. I was referencing, like, because you said it looks like some other movie makers kind of sent their trolls, and that's what's disappointing to me too. That there should be.
I don't play that way. I mean, I would never do that to somebody else. But and the only reason that I know it's true is because a couple of people pulled me aside and said to expect it. And then the other thing is, how do you leave star ratings for a movie that's not even out yet? And so, obviously that was just right out of the gate attack on my movie. And, people might say, oh, well, dude, maybe your movie just sucks, but it doesn't suck. You've watched it.
Well, you look at all the awards you got for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but, you know, filmmaking is a tough game. Distribution is a tough game. And I just, I'm definitely going to think twice before I do the next one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I was going to ask you that. Are you going to do a next one? I mean, now that you've got your foot in sort of in Congress's door, and you're kind of like,
Yeah.
you kind of got an inside scoop on what's happening with the government, and you're obviously connected to all these people. It would, is that sort of going to be your future for the next couple of years? Really hammering down on that, or?
Well, I know that James Fox is working on something along those lines. He's kind of like, he did The Phenomenon. I did Accidental Truth. He's going to do something that picks up where Accidental Truth left off. So I'm not going to jump in his thing because I've been helping him any way I can. So I haven't decided how I'm going to frame the next one. I think I'm just going to continue to tell the story that was told in Accidental Truth through the website and not, really charge people money. And then the next thing I want to do, I'm working on a life after death film. I'm working on one about the nature of reality.
Oh,
So
cool.
these are other topics that I'd really like to cover. And then I'm working on I think the very next thing I'm going to put out is going to be about Mars.
Oh, right on.
So
Awesome.
I'm actually working on that one right now. It's a docudrama. So it's going to have, I created my own animation company when I made Accidental Truth. So a lot of those animations in the film are original stuff that we actually did with myself and a couple guys in the Ukraine.
Yeah, it was good. That was good. Good graphics, good animation for sure.
I wanted to do something different. Everything about the film is different. I wanted to make something, I like to make things that don't look like anything else. So the whole way that I did it, everybody shot on green screen, really beautiful chroma keying, custom made backgrounds for each person. And those are actually shots of my actual studio behind them. That we created for the backdrops. And so, the art and the look of this is completely unique. And some people like it and some people don't. But, at the end of the day, it's about art as much as it is anything else.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what inspires people.
Has to be, yeah, it has to be.
So
if it's not, then people just don't, there's so much stuff out there that's if it's not artsy, then what's the point?
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it could be said that this is a talking head documentary. It's not there is a lot of talking heads, but they're saying some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's the type of talking heads that makes this one so good. So what about can you talk about what you're going to do with the government in the next little while, in the next like 3 to 6 months kind of, or a year?
Well, we're preparing the testimony for the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, literally to go in and tell them what we know about the stuff that David Grush said, and we know a lot. Basically, we've already put Accidental Truth on required reading and viewing for all the members of Congress that we work with. We've given them all free access. Our lobbying firm has called up and said, you guys need to watch this movie, and then we can come in and talk to you about it. So we're there. We're doing it. It's really exciting.
That's great. Right on. So how will people follow up on that aspect of your work? Are you going to put that on your MUFON website or anything like that? Or?
Yeah. There's going to be I'm working on something called the DC Diaries.
Okay.
We're going to be publishing little bits and pieces on YouTube and on Facebook, and then the broader productions will be inside MUFON Television. But if you want to follow up with Accidental Truth, figure out where to get the movie, support us by helping buy our T-shirts. You can go to accidentaltruths.com. It'll forward you to the page.
Yeah.
Hey, are either one of you guys in front of your computer?
Yeah, I'm there right now.
You want to see something that just really funny? Well, it's really not that funny. Do a search for Accidental Truth T-shirt and watch what happens.
Truths or truth?
Truth is singular.
Huh.
We've identified over 150 websites that have stolen our artwork and are selling T-shirts.
Oh my God. Yeah, I just clicked on the first two, dude. And there's all these weird T-shirt companies that have your logo right on there.
Yeah, they stole it. And
what the fuck?
We've got the official Accidental Truth T-shirts on our website, and nobody's buying them because if you decide you like the movie and you want the shirt, There's 1,000 places to buy it. It's horrible.
How the what? Like, why would they choose yours again? That's so weird.
Well, you know, when it came out, it was a buzz. Matthew Modine is obviously a A-list talent. So yeah, they just got a hold of it. So somebody in the chat room is asking me, Brandenburg is definitely going to be in it. I'm not sure about Dunning. I've interviewed John Brandenburg several times, and his theory about Mars and the nuclear thing is absolutely solid. And I like John a lot. So yes, he'll be in it for sure.
Our first episode in Grimerica 2013 was Ephraim Palermo talking about the water stains on Mars. That was what got us into this whole thing.
Well,
Wow.
that's what I was gonna say that.
And he was
You
vindicated.
know what's weird? I just fucking talked to Ephraim today.
No way.
Well, yeah, because I'm getting ready to do the road trip down there, so I was letting him know
Wow.
I'm coming in his neck of the woods. But he just moved to Portugal like 3 days ago.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, if you do something on Mars, let us know, because Ephraim was the dude, but one of the first people who said there was water on Mars. Everyone said he was crazy with those streaks, and he turned out to be vindicated.
Right on the money. Yeah.
He was one of these guys putting hours and hours into the back when the internet was, you know, slow. I mean, putting all those pictures from the, I guess, I don't know what it was, the rover or whatever, putting it all together in a big picture and looking at all.
I'll tell you, Mars is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to find out so much stuff about that planet. So it's getting up on the hour. Is there anything else?
No, just give us the websites. Accidentaltruth.com, I think, is one of them, but we'll say it. And
it's accidentaltruthwithans.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you go to MUFONtelevision.com, you can click on the front page. It'll also take you to the Accidental Truth site. And then you can just find the movie on Amazon. You can find it on iTunes, Vudu, Hulu, or no, it's not on Hulu yet. But all the places where you get a movie, Apple TV, Amazon Prime. And it's not expensive. I've asked them to keep the price down, so I think it's $4.99 right now for the HD version.
Good job, great.
Yeah,
awesome.
Because I want more people to see it, you know.
Yeah.
And so it really is it's a historical document. That's what I made it for, and I'm just so stoked that people out there appreciate it and are saying good things. You know, most people that are going to say bad things about a film aren't going to say it to my face, but they'll certainly say it in a chat room, or they'll certainly say it, you know, in a comment on a video. So it's been overwhelmingly positive, and thank you to everybody for that, because I didn't make the film for me, I made it for you, and to know that it's being appreciated means a lot.
Yeah, right on, buddy. Is there anything else you want in the show notes? Any social media for yourself, or any other way to get a hold of you or follow you, or?
I'm pretty much just out there through MUFON. You can reach me. You can contact me through MUFON. You can email me personally at ronjamescontact@gmail. And I always love to hear from people. I try to respond to stuff. And yeah, MUFON Television, MUFON's YouTube channel, MUFON social media. I'm behind a huge percentage of that you see out there is me. So that's kind of where I'm parked right now.
Right on. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Thanks for the movie. I mean, someone's got to make one that's not Stephen Greer, so I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, I did not say that. You know, I'm actually hosting his red carpet for his premiere. I've done it for all his movies, so it's kind of interesting. We're gonna have a nice talk.
That's good. Yeah, the guys got all work together. That's the way we'll lift it all up together.
Yeah, and you know, it's perfectly understandable as big as someone of his stature in the field, that when he puts out a movie like that, it's going to go straight to the top, and it has. Accidental Truth has been in the top 10 on the Apple iTunes documentary chart since it came out, and his movie is pulling everybody else along. So, you know, more power to him. He's going to sell a lot more copies of his than mine will. But when you go to Lost Century on Amazon, right there below it, it's people also watched, and so it's helping everybody.
Exactly.
It's helping everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't understand the whole need to troll and feel like there's competition. There shouldn't be. Just make a good movie and get it out there, and don't attack other people.
Right on. Yeah. Well, maybe you can come back when you get your Mars thing all ready to go.
Hey, hopefully sooner than that. I'm not. Yeah, anytime you need somebody to hop on and comment about anything that's in the news, or you want to talk about some other stuff like how this all ties into the nature of reality, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, the rabbit hole gets way deeper, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right on. We love that stuff. Thanks a lot, Ron.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me
come
on.
back anytime. That was a chat with Ron James. What do you think? How'd you like I mean, you seen the movie? Should I
Yeah,
watch
it was good. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I mean, it was
Uh,
just like to me. It was part of my whole disclosure experience. I mean, I was watching that, then I decided to take some time and watch his right away, and because it was right when Grush came out and the Disclosure 2.0 and his movie, and
I
that's
don't know.
probably one of the reasons why I was so excited about all this.
I don't know who Grush is. I gotta be honest.
But it doesn't matter. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter because it's coming out. It's all coming out.
I'm just excited that it's someone who's not, the norm. I never heard of it. I'm excited to go watch a movie that's not from the regular players.
Oh, you know what? This would be really good for you and Shauna to watch because it's fucking fascinating. And it's got some new stuff in there that you won't know. And it's also good for the UFO crowd. The people that are experienced will also like it.
There you have it. Big thanks to Rod for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks for our supporters. There's not, there's enough of you that we're super grateful, but there's not enough that we're super comfortable. So if you head over to grimerica.ca/support today, sign up for monthly or make a one-time donation, we could add a little comfort to our, not even comfort, just like less worrying about bills for the podcast. This thing ain't free to run. And
That's the problem is it ends up costing way more than you think just to do everything.
Exactly.
All the monthlies and all the, oh my God.
It adds up in the books and this and that. So grimerica.ca/support, guys, if you can, when you can. Other than that, head over to grimerica.ca for everything else we're up to. You find links to the audiobooks, to my books, to the Substacks, to the newsletter, and to the trips. Check it all out. I don't know. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into the live show. It was rocking and rolling over on Rockfin tonight. So that's great.
Really cool. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for paying attention to all that. I don't watch it.